Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday night freelance call as people are streaming in and the sun is setting in southern Mexico. Good to see everybody. Let's see, we got lots of people coming in. Hold on. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Pressing a few buttons. Have a few people flying in from parts unknown. Not quite sure how they got here, but that's okay. Patty says hi from Fort Myers. Good to see you, Patty. And Greg says good evening from Ontario, Canada. It probably looks like the middle of the afternoon still up there. Very good. All righty. Get started. Just 1 second. Doug says aloha from Kauai, Hawaii. Deborah and Mark are in. Let's see. Lots of folks. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going here. And I will share one of my favorite places to be in Huatulco. It's on the Oaxacan coast. And it's a very unspoiled area, undeveloped for the most part. But now it's getting more developed. But they have kind of an ecological plan, so there's still lots of gorgeous green areas. And if you haven't been down to the Oaxacan coast, it's great because it's relatively mountainous in that area, so you get spectacular views of everything. And tonight we're going to talk about crafting a vibrant freelance future beyond project platforms, because a lot of people don't fully understand that. And I've seen, as we've lived through now 16 years of people coming into our programs and becoming freelancers, and then in addition to becoming freelancers, doing amazing things once they sort of became conversant in the ability to work remotely, in the ability to be a freelancer, in the ability to sort of ply their skills around the world in lots of different venues. So that's good. All righty. And can you see that slide okay with the ocean view there? The title slide? Just want to confirm that everybody's seeing it.
Yep.
Or how? Okay, great.
Yeah, I can see it.
All righty. And speak of the devil. So David,
It's
how's it
me.
going tonight? All
It's good. It's going good.
righty. And David's going to be taking your questions, wrangling those throughout the evening. He's got lots of good help for you, and he can answer your questions directly on the call, or he can also save some of them up. And when we open up for questions, he kind of consolidates the similar ones, and we answer those live on the call as well. So welcome, David, and get ready for the onslaught there. And a quick reminder that next week is a June after party, and we have a new link for the June after party that we think is going to solve the problem of people not being able to get in. So David, it'd be great if you could share that link with everybody, and we will share that abundantly later again this evening, and also next week when we do the Tuesday night webinar. That's the link we'll be sharing. So a good opportunity to test out that, to see if what Zoom has indicated to us would solve the problem we have with too many people trying to get in at once. So look forward to seeing you on that call. And upcoming events, wow, closer and closer. July 19th through the 21st is the Fast Track Costa Rica with International Living, and looking forward to that. The event is sold out, so unless if you'd like to go, I'm sure if you call International Living, they have a wait list for people that might cancel, but looking forward to that. I want to say this is my 12th time going to this conference at this hotel, and it's just a gorgeous hotel, and they have amazing theme restaurants, Italian, French, what else? Uh, Japanese, just a real neat hotel. And I think International Living is planning on having about 300 people there. So that's going to keep us all pretty busy. So looking forward to that. And we appreciate some good feedback on last week's call. People, Junann found the sample jobs and how to search for them very useful. And then Michael appreciated the further encouragement to continue with Chat GPT familiarization. And we are going to have a live session tonight with Chat GPT to show you some of the ways it can help you in getting your profile set up and figuring out some of your skill sets and that kind of thing. And then enlightening contributions by the two coaches from Michelle. And I always learn stuff from the coaches. So yes, appreciate that. And I'm sure over time you'll be seeing a lot more of the coaches. So that's great. And then we have our private Facebook group. David will put that link in the area there so that people can join that. If you haven't joined that yet, be sure and do that. Freelancers, coaches, myself, lots of people in there answering questions. And so if you've got a question, you want to get a few different perspectives, it's a great place to go and ask questions. So take advantage of that. And then this is a great question. Is it possible to do a search on Upwork for a job that is hiring like 20 plus people? And yes, this is actually one of the best searches for jobs that you'll see on Upwork. People will say, need to hire 50 freelancers, need to hire 25. And I've got a few tips for you that I've learned, because when I'm working with somebody in a jumpstart or just one-on-one for whatever reason, this is one of the most popular things that we use as a search term for those starter jobs, those very easy jobs to do, the low paying jobs, but low hanging fruit. You can knock them out usually in 15 or 20 minutes. And you get two of those and you've got your job success score and you're on your way. So the thing is that there are quality assurance companies, agencies, you might call them, that contract with clients. And some clients want to have 20 people go onto their website and try to log in and make sure it's easy for everybody to get logged in and that kind of thing. And then another outfit wants to see how easy it is to search for a company and see where people find the company and see if they can find a map to the company and stuff like that. So lots of those jobs. And so one of the interesting things I've noticed about this is that when you put in the word to use is the phrase is 20. So the first important thing is you put in 20. You don't write out TWENTY. You just put in the word 20. And then you put quote marks around 20 freelancers. So it'd be quotation mark, 20 space freelancers, plural, close quotation marks. And that is the term that will search for exactly what you're looking for. And that produces very good jobs. So the numbers that produce good jobs are 50 and 25. So 25 freelancers, 20 freelancers, 10 freelancers, and 5 freelancers. So I find the most jobs for when I'm working with people on the 5s. And I don't know why that is. but that's how it seems to work. There is no wildcard search that I know of that you can put in there and find anybody that's looking for a bunch of freelancers. You know, you have to put in a specific number. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that'll say, I need to hire 18 freelancers, or I need to hire 12, or whatever it might be. And you might miss those. But if you stick to the fives, you'll find the majority of them. And the best one, the one that's working the best for people that I'm working with, is the 50 freelancer one. That has produced a great set of jobs, and people have very successfully over the last 3 weeks achieved their job success score with those jobs that are now bidding on the more sophisticated jobs that better fit their domains of knowledge. So great question.
Actually, I think,
Yes.
Winston, you may have answered the question that came in. Did everything you just talked about, it wasn't on a separate slide, right? There wasn't a slide for it.
Right. It's kind of verbally what the deal is. So you want to use the odd number, you want to use freelancer, you want to use quotes around it. And the reason we put quotes around things is that if you say 20 freelancers, it will find every job in there that has the number 20 in it and the word freelancers. And those jobs will not be relevant mostly to what you want to do. You'll find thousands of jobs, but they won't be the ones that are relevant. When you put the quotes around the 20 space freelancers, what you're going to get is jobs that have exactly those letters and numbers in exactly that format together in your search. So just
I have a couple of people who are asking about the formula, and Winston, you can double check me, but I put it in the chat window so people can see
Oh,
what it
that's
is.
good. Yes. Yes, that's exactly how it looks. Or, and the one that works well is 50 freelancers. There you go. Just taking David's lead there. So yes, that's how you want it to look. Good tip, David. Okay. And let's boom on in here to Heidi. How you doing, Heidi?
Like $1,000,000, Winton.
All righty, very good.
Everything's going great, of course. And thanks for having me on.
Oh, sure. And I'm looking forward. As you know, Ruth sent us this, one of our members, and I thought it was a fascinating article.
Yep.
And it what we hear about, Upwork is the largest freelance network in the world, but various organizations, people that write articles in Forbes, are saying that there will be 1,000 of these online networks between now and the year 2030. So there's tremendous growth in this stuff. And just about the time I thought I'd seen every single network that somebody could possibly come up with, here's yet another opportunity for freelancers that is so narrowly focused. If it turned sideways, you couldn't see it. So take it away, Heidi, and tell us about this.
It's true. And I also love the way when we talked about this earlier, you said this is the perfect example of somebody taking, lemons and making lemonade. These guys came up with this idea when they were just like joking about that they would pay somebody to go ahead and bird dog down these sort of stockpiles of these specific drugs. And what's so interesting is I know you and I both have people when they start with us and they have a very specific career that they may still be in, or they may have retired from. They say things like, I don't know what I could do. I have so many nurses and doctors that say, I don't know where my knowledge would be useful, but if you did have knowledge of this drug or some others, there are ways for you to capitalize on that. And if you had a penchant for research and stuck those two things together, quite frankly, I see Upwork and the platforms, and I'm actually, when you said that, it's so funny because you and I, we work on this PowerPoint, but at the same time, every single time I'm on a call like this, I learn something new. What you just said about those platforms that are going to be in use by the year 2030, I see like the field of infinite possibilities with Upwork alone. And if
Yes.
you like tack on all those others, and they've had Upwork to be a great example of, how to do it, how to start it up, how to work out the bugs, and how to pay people and how to support clients. I mean, seriously, I think it's going to be very, very exciting what's coming down the pike. So first thing I want to do, like you did, I'm really, Ruth, thank you for sending this in. It was a fascinating article. David's going to put that link in the chat, and you guys can take a look at this, but really, there is nothing off the table as far as jobs go, or niche. This is niche.
Yes, I just heard today a stat that there are 10 million open jobs in the United States.
Good
And,
Lord.
it was in the context of nobody is willing to do those jobs because a lot of them involve going into a company and
Right.
employment and being in a physical location. And,
I can't
you
say
know,
anything. I can't say anything. You couldn't pay me an amount of money to be at a specific spot every single
yes,
day. I
yes,
wasn't born with that particular gene, which is cool.
yes. I mean,
Thank God there are people who will.
someday our grandchildren are going to say, Gramps had to go someplace to work. He couldn't
Right.
stay at home and work. And
And
so,
walk uphill in the snow both ways.
yes,
That
exactly.
too. But show me the next one because it does roll in. This rolls into, first of all, Upwork.
Yeah.
So what's so interesting, you guys, is if you take a look at the statistic of the week, it's a lot of different statistics. And I circled some of my favorite, but a couple of points I want to make. Number one, if you want live data and max data, Upwork is going to give you, they have a lot of solid data that they can fall back on. So these statistics are, I don't want to, statistics, the reality of statistics aren't realistic, but this is a pretty good basis of good accepted information. And it shows up here that these are in from 2023, and some people who might be thinking things like, well, they're from last year. Well, they have to put the whole year together in order to assess it. I work in the real estate industry, and they don't put the stats about May out in May. They put the stats about May out in June. So 2023 is the most recent information. And one of the things that I circled down here in the lower right-hand corner is that over 85% of freelancers say the best days are ahead for freelancing. And you know what, that's me. That's every morning when I wake up. Like I said, I see infinite possibilities for anywhere that you have come from in your life. If you're over 50, if you're over 40, even if you're over 35, you have had so much experience that covers so many areas of things that people need. It's mind-boggling. And the other one up here, I love this one on the upper left here. Freelancers are more than twice as likely to regularly use generative AI frequently in their work compared to their non-freelance counterparts. Now, of course, we are so lucky to have Winton Churchill in our midst, who just has like been the forerunner and the steamship for us going through AI and doing all of the R&D so that we can actually just follow in his wake and jump those things.
Yes, and
And
certainly a shout out to Evan Swingholm as well,
yes,
who is
absolutely.
my partner in that endeavor. And just thank you
Totally.
for that. And since the beginning of the year, we've created now about 25 specific things that you can do using AI. It's helping break down the fear that, gee, I'm 50 and I couldn't possibly learn that.
And last year, Winton, I popped through our PowerPoints a couple days ago, and I saw one from last year. It was a sort of a live demo AI thing, and people were having that moment where they were saying things like, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen to our freelance jobs with AI?" And Man, I don't know about you, but I'll tell you what's happened to my freelance job with AI. It's gotten bigger, faster, better, stronger.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You can do things in, a third to a half the time that you used to do them
Totally.
before. And, at the beginning of this, we were seeing people saying, oh, you can't use AI. Well, this tells you
Yeah.
everything you need to know is that freelancers are that more than twice as likely to use AI because all the fears about robotic sounding text and things that were wrong and all that kind of stuff have dissipated as people understand where you need to bring in a live freelancer to make sure you get the good results
The
out of
human
your AI.
element.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, the human
Yep.
element. And lastly, I'll point out this almost on the lower left, half of all freelancers provide their knowledge services such as computer programming, marketing, IT, and business consulting. Business consulting, you guys, that runs the gamut for so many people from their careers. Anybody who's had management experience, anybody who has a very large base of domain knowledge, all those consulting, and we've done a lot of freelance webinars about coaching, how you can use your skills to bring coaching into it. And that's just like AI was last year. Honestly, coaching is just like it's exploding.
Yes, yes.
So cool. All right. Well, let's jump off of these and I'll show them Pomodoro real quick and then I'll
Okay,
hand it
very
back
good.
to you because you and me, we could get on and on.
Yes, yes.
All right, guys. So as you know, favorite is time management for me and the Pomodoro timer. The coolest thing about this is you can just dump this up onto your web browser and it can be one of your 50,000 support tabs if you need tabs open like someone we know. I love this one. It's super simple. And really, this is an egg timer. Pomodoro Focus is the great thing about this particular link that David's putting up right now is this explains the Pomodoro technique. And just take 5 seconds and read it after the webinar and take a look at what that means. Because for me, if I say, I'm really good in a 20-minute time block. I love 20 minutes. I can do almost anything, really focused for 20 minutes. But after that 20 minutes, my brain starts to peter out, a little bit and heads in different directions and sometimes lots of directions. So when I first started working online and working for myself, learning how to employ myself by managing my time properly or consistently or even managing my time, I did use just an egg timer. And when phones came out after I got rid of my electronic, what was it called? It was a text. I had a text. What I have, a text messenger or something like a box that came with text across it. Oh, a text pager. I had a text pager. Then I had a voice pager. Then I had a BlackBerry. And I remember I was in a group of people we were starting to work online and everybody they were all making fun of me and they were all clapping and getting really excited when I got oh, Heidi, she finally has a phone without buttons. So yeah, this timer you can even use your own timer. This is a great productivity tool. If you swap to the next slide, this one shows the visual of the Pomodoro technique. And quite frankly, it's focus, unfocus, focus, unfocus, focus, unfocus. Give yourself a break and then focus some more. And I know you love the Pomodoro technique too.
Yeah, yeah, saved my life. It's the way that when you get overwhelmed, it's a great way to unoverwhelm. And doing as you're beginning this, doing 1 or 2 Pomodoros, which means 25 minutes of concentration a day, is a lot.
It is.
I have people come me and say, oh, I only got 6 Pomodoros done in a day.
Oh my God.
If I can get 4 done in a day, that's huge. And it really is. I mean, this guy that invented Pomodoro say that's wonderful. Get to 4 and
Yeah.
then things take care of themselves, because we do live in kind of a chaotic world now. We're getting far many more messages and emails and all that kind of stuff, more interruptions.
Pinged to death.
Yes, pinged to death. Right. Very good. Yes. And so a worthwhile thing to try. I talked to somebody this week who said, you know, they've got the course, they come in the Tuesday night call, they're wanting to make this happen, but they just have trouble getting started. And you know, this is not the first time I've heard that. And the Pomodoro is the recommendation for that, because you can sort of sit around all day and feel yucky about why you're not starting to do this. And to just say, I don't care, I'm going to spend the next 25 minutes just doing it. And when you get into the doing of it, rather than thinking about how tough it's going to be to do, then things start to become interesting.
And success breeds success. You know, if
Yes.
you get one Pomodoro done, I mean, look, start slow, like Winton is saying. If you get one Pomodoro done 3 times a week in a single week in your first week, you're smoking hot. You pick up your
Yes.
hand and go, yeah, good job, good
Yes.
job. Because it's
Yes.
not that easy to step over the ledge.
Yep. Yep. No, it's a great tool. Let's see. All righty, David, you want to take us through our section here?
I can. So this is a reminder to everybody, you do have access to the 21 days to your freelancing success. If you've not been out there recently, I do encourage you to go check that out. When you log in, not only do you have access to all the course material, you also, and there's some bonus material out there as well, you also have access to recordings of these calls. And the way you find that is by going into the freelancer membership area. Clicking in there, you'll see something that says webinar playbacks. Click on that. It'll take you then to a page where you see all the webinars on the left-hand side. You can then either watch the whole thing from beginning to end, or if you scroll down underneath, you'll see the timestamps, and so you can just fast forward to the section you're interested in. And then also the articles of the week that Heidi is finding for us are put out there. So if you miss the link for any reason, just know that that's the other place you can get it. And then we also put out some links for ways to interact with Barefoot consultants, like the private Facebook group we've been talking about. And then there are also some links to the Upwork help, which is if you're trying to figure out how something works in Upwork, that's a great place to go check out. The Upwork community in particular, I know is very active. So back to you, Winton.
All righty, well, let's dive in, talk about what some of the options are. You know, first thing is be brave and take action. You know, it's by doing freelancing work and getting comfortable with working across the street and around the world with this stuff that really lights up freelancers. I love to hear from new freelancers, and we have a bunch of new ones in right now, that you know, it takes a while to get your profile set up and get going. But once you get that and they get first job, second job is from Denmark or something like that. They said, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be doing a job for somebody in Denmark. So great way to avoid burnout, you know, to stay away from a lot of people in their 50s are coming to the end of their career. Certainly in their 60s, a lot are retired. And freelancing is a great way to keep your mind active, stay engaged in active relationships, and kind of be a master of your computing domain. And so what we want to do is bring your preferences down to a focal point, and that's what we're going to be going through tonight, is talking about how you can take the skills that you accrue by freelancing and move those forward into other directions online. So 3 steps to a clearer vision of your global earning power. And one of the things to do is to go in and take your search terms and look at the assignments that are coming up. You'll see assignments from all around the world. And sometimes people ask, well, why is this? Why am I seeing somebody that wants English proofreading from somebody in Hong Kong, or what, I don't get this. Well, the simple fact is that the English language world is the biggest economic engine in the world. And so you take the countries of London, the UK, Ireland, United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and a number of other places around the world. And everybody in the world wants to sell their products and services to those countries. And they can't do it unless they can do it in English. And that's one of the major activities driving writing assignments, proofreading assignments, blog postings, that kind of thing. You're dealing with people who want to be able to write in the language of their audience. And of course, if they've grown up in another country, they're not going to be as good at that as you might be. So review the assignments. Some will be a fit, some won't be a fit. So you want to revise and narrow your list of search criteria to find the jobs that are most interesting to you. And then you want to select your ideal jobs so you get comfortable not just doing one thing over and over again, but get comfortable with doing a diverse group of things over and over again, and doing them for clients that live in different parts of the world. So you can begin to get that experience of what it's like to work cross-culturally. And that is one of the things that you will learn just by doing freelancing, is this whole cross-cultural working. And it's enjoyable. I've learned so much and have so many friends that I've met around the world since I began freelancing in the year 2000. So I'm in my 24th year of monkeying around with this stuff. And it's just been amazing. I've seen a whole different side to the planet that I never would have seen if I wasn't doing that. So there's a number of different ways to do this. And when I first started speaking at International Living conferences 16 years ago, most people said, okay, I want to live outside the United States. I've got to sell my house. I've got to find a house to buy in some country, and I've got to move there, and all the complications that involved, and lots of this has to come before that comes before that. And here we are, 16 years down the road. And first of all, you don't have to sell your house. You can turn it into, you can Airbnb it, so you can rent it out when you're gone. I know lots of people that I talk to are doing that. They've figured out how to, batten down the hatches in their home. They take a bedroom and turn it into an owner's closet. They put all the stuff they want when they're in their home in that particular bedroom, and then, let somebody else use it 3 months, 6 months, even a year. They might go traveling for a year, but they don't have to sell their house. And of course, because of Airbnb and rentals like it, wherever you want to go in the world, you don't have to buy a house. You can go there and stay for a month or 2 or 3 or 6. So very, very, very good. The other big factor that has created this earn from anywhere is networks. And when I first started traveling, really 20 years ago, and a lot more beginning 16 years ago, it was so hard to get internet service a lot of places. And you'd be so excited because you haven't been on the internet all day, and you're going to a place that has internet, and then you get there and there's not enough juice in the internet to even get half an email message. So you're kind of stuck in that environment. Now you go pretty much anywhere. A lot of towns, like where I live in Mexico, my place is right across the street from a park, and they have free wireless all through the park. So you can take your iPhone or your laptop and go sit down on a bench in the park and enjoy the trees and the birds and the kids playing and all that kind of stuff. And it's fabulous. And then global earning power. This is something that some people might say, yeah, that's a catchphrase. I sort of get it, whatever. I mean, you are able to draw clients from around the world. And the biggest problem with freelancing is finding clients. And once you commit to a system like Upwork or any of the other, 200 to 300 systems that are out there today, and the other 700 that we're going to see over the next 5 or 6 years, you have access to a worldwide audience. And this is very important. So just something to know and think about, and not, I guess, treat that as a privilege and an opportunity, not just, oh yeah, I can work for people in other countries. So how can you work abroad? We have talked about lots of freelancers with portable income, but there are also take your job overseas. There are companies that are willing, that have needs, they have international operations, and they might want to see you planted overseas. And we see lots of people in the, sort of the 50 plus category who may have 10 to 15 years to work before they retire, and they're not quite ready for full-time freelancing, but taking an overseas job is a wonderful way to partake in this portable income economy and learn your stuff. If you Google expatriate jobs, you'll see lots of jobs around the world. If you put in expatriate into Upwork, you'll see jobs around the world that they want to originally hire you as a freelancer to see what you're like to work with. But they even say in the Upwork job description that they're open to hiring you in their company with their benefits, whatever it might be, working abroad. And particularly when you work an expatriate job, you tend to get better pay. A lot of times you get a package. I know if you're going to work in Southeast Asia or different places around the world, and you're based in the United States, you tend to get packages that make the creature comforts of living in a foreign country much better. And when I was in Shanghai, and what was it, maybe 2016 was the last time I was there, 2017, I think. And lots of Americans working there. In Shanghai alone, there were almost 1 million Americans and Brits with expatriate type jobs, or they supported, they were individual people, but they supported the large people that worked in large corporations. And 1 million people, who would have thought that between Americans, Canadians, Australians, and Brits, and assorted others, that there would be 1 million people working in Shanghai. And so that's a good kind of job to have. And most of the jobs in Shanghai came with paid housing. They came with a driver. Some came with 2 drivers. So you would have somebody sitting in a car all day long, parked at your place, ready to take you wherever you wanted to go, to the store, to the grocery store, clothing store, sporting goods store, whatever it might be, just to make life a little easier. So certainly consider those expatriate jobs if you're under 50. I mean, if you're or just over 50. You can turn your current job into a consulting practice. And this is really what I did. I was doing basically consulting in the technology company that I work for. And, when the dot-com bomb hit in the 2000, 2001, 2002 timeframe, I just decided that, I could figure out how to make it on my own, and I went out and did. And so as a consultant, companies are willing to pay you more because they don't have to pay you all the time. And that is the real advantage. So your pay per hour also includes the idea that they know you're going to be paying your own health benefits and other benefits that are associated with that. So where somebody might make $30 an hour as an employee, they're making $60 an hour as a consultant. It's about a factor of 2 to cover the other expenses that you might have. The great thing about turning it into a consulting practice is most of the jobs I had as an employee, there was no option to do anything other than full-time. And the great thing about consulting is because you take on assignments when you want and where you want, you can do those part-time. Certainly freelancing online is part of this, and there's very little distinction between being a freelancer and being a consultant online. The distinction blurs, and that wasn't all the case, but it certainly is there now. And obviously, as a consultant, and for the 7 years that I ran my consulting business in the US, I was working remotely. And many of my clients, once I moved to Mexico, they were US-based clients. We'd have Zoom meetings or Skype meetings at that time. We'd keep in touch on email. And it had been my practice to go see them once or twice a year for planning sessions and that kind of thing. And I continued doing that. So they saw me just as much and they talked to me just as much. And we got just as much done, even though I was living in a different country or traveling around as I tend to do. So the other activity is to apply your life skills to freelance projects online. And this is really the ultimate build your own business job. As I mentioned earlier tonight, there are 10 million open jobs in the United States that companies and businesses and governments and nonprofits can't fill because nobody wants to be an employee anymore. And, that has created tremendous opportunities for freelancers and people that have good skills that are willing to work job by job, and they have much more negotiating leverage about working on their own terms. And the number one own term is working from home, because before the pandemic, we would spend a lot of our time explaining to people how you could possibly work from home and earn money. Don't you have to go to some place in order to earn money? And now that the entire world has had the experience of being able to work from home, there we go. So that kind of demolished that particular thing. There is an avalanche of special interest marketing going on in the world, and we're all aware that we're being bombarded by advertising messages all the time across a lot of different areas. One of the neatest things is the ability to turn your hobbies into a full-time income, and many people are able to do that, or at a minimum incorporate some of that into their freelancing. So that is something that is happening right now. And I've often talked about the guy who was an accountant that worked for a Fortune 1000 company, and he was an avid baseball collector. And he came through our program. He found a job. We'd actually had a customer service call, and he said, if I never see a spreadsheet again, it will be too soon. He'd just done accounting all his life. He'd been meeting reporting deadlines and tracking down transactions and all that kind of stuff. And he said he was just over it. And yes, I see the the laughing face. It is hilarious. And we've all been there. I was over it in the technology jobs. I mean, for 20 years, I was running around explaining stuff that I didn't understand fully to people that understood it even less than I did. It managed to string together a career to do that. And so you have that opportunity now to take something like this guy found a job helping a company build a trading card sports trading card company inventory system, so they could keep track of the value of their inventory. And it was a small business, and the head of the business and the freelance guy that was in our program got to be fast friends because they both have had a long interest in these trading cards. So think in those terms about applying something that you want to do. And the other thing is creating a course to teach others what you have done. And, if you made buggy whips, people don't want to learn how to make more buggy whips, but you probably learned a lot of, sort of strategies and disciplines along the way that helped you become successful with buggy whips that translate into helping people today become successful with the things that they're facing now. Plus, you have that lifetime of experience. And one of the things that I wanted to do is we're going to go live tonight and take a look at some AI stuff. And I will just give me a moment to reconfigure this, and I will show you kind of what we have here. And from time to time, people come to us and they're concerned that they don't have the skills to do things. And I wanted to, because everybody here is figuring out how to freelance. Many of you have worked with our coaches and have got profiles done. And some of you are just getting started with that. So I want to show you what AI can do in that particular environment. So let me share this screen. So one of the toughest people that we get is airline pilots, because they say, hey, I just get in and I fly the plane, and what could I possibly do online? And so you can come into an AI system. This is Chat GPT-4, which is the most popular AI system on the planet right now. And it'll set you back all of $20 a month. And you come down here to the chat window and say, I am an airline pilot. David, are you seeing this okay on the screen? And I want,
Yes, we are.
great, to work as a freelancer. Oops. Can possibly do. Okay. And just as fast, I'm just doing this live. This is how it works. And it will come in and start talking about the kind of things that you can do. And anybody that might know an airline pilot knows that they do lots of training. They have lots of knowledge. They have to be smart about weather, safety. They train other pilots. Usually by the time they're retiring from being an airline pilot, they've trained lots of people along the way. They know a lot about airports and aviation companies, and can coach airline employees, especially pilots, on how to build up time, certain strategies about how to have their career go along faster, and that kind of thing. So you might do the same thing. You could take this same chat thing and fill it in and say, I am a fill in the blank. I want to work as a freelancer. What can I possibly do? And then, it's going to spit out something like this. And so this is another category, online educator. This is very popular. People working on pilot training, they're getting their license for the first time. And I know when I got my pilot's license, all that stuff was kind of Greek. I had to pick it all out of a book. And, and then I occasionally got in a plane and flew around and managed to scratch and claw my way through it. But it sure would have been nice to have a conversation with somebody who had been there before. And of course, airlines are very much safety oriented, and they've always been, but they're even more so now. And so doing safety audits for aviation companies, that kind of thing, there's just lots of stuff that a person can do. And so now you can come along and say, what sort of skills, what sort of skills might I have for working on the Upwork system? And one of the things I hear from people a lot is, gee, I have no idea what my skills are. Well, ChatGPT, covers the internet universe, and they know what jobs are on Upwork, and they know what people do as freelancers, and they know what jobs are on other networks and what skills are in demand and all kinds of things. So we're going to come in here and ask this question: what sort of skills might I have for working on the Upwork, I'll say freelance system, just to put a fine point on it. System. And there we go. And it's going off in real time. So it's suggesting things like technical writing and documentation, creating standard operating procedures, because just about everything you do on an airplane comes from a standard operating procedure, developing instructional content, and again, consulting, training and development, project management, data analysis and reporting. There's a lot of reporting that goes into being a pilot. It's gotten much better these days because a lot of that stuff is now digitized, but I've known a number of pilots over the years, and they say that was the worst part of the job, is all the paperwork that they had to do. And so lots of articles, blogs, social media content, communications, research and analysis, lots of language skills, flight planning, operations, and support. So private pilots planning cross-country trips, to potentially business pilots wanting to plan international trips or vacations or whatever it might be. So you can also come along and say, this is another thing that people struggle with as they get started, is what kind of jobs should, or let's see, what kind of, misspelling lots of things, key words should I use in Upwork to surface these kinds of jobs? And thing we hear is, hey, I went into Upwork and I looked in there and I didn't see very many jobs. And I know it's not true. I mean, there's, between 150,000 and 300,000 open jobs in there every single day. But I also know how hard it is to kind of noodle your way through what sort of term should I be using, that kind of thing. So we're just going to ask the question, and you'll see these are just, you could just cut and paste that right into Upwork and figure out, here you've got, let's see, I don't know, 5 search terms there, 5 there. So we're up to 10. So here we're up to 15. So here we're up to 4. So we're up to 19. And then we've got 5 there. So that would be 25. And then we've got content creation, which would be another 5. And then we've got customer service kind of jobs and research and analysis, language skills, flight planning, So these are all search terms that you can put into Upwork to surface the jobs that you're looking at. And when I hear somebody say, I'm looking in there and I'm not seeing any jobs, or I'm not seeing enough jobs to bid on, I would say that what you're not doing is you're not using enough different search terms to surface the jobs that you want to do. And this is kind of the hard work of figuring out how to freelance, is which search terms and search phrases are going to produce the best jobs for you. So I know from talking to people during the week and that sort of thing, there's a lot of mystery around AI. There's a lot of fear around AI. I read an article a couple of weeks ago that was saying, this is the nail in the coffin for people over 50, because AI is just too big a thing for them to even wrap their head around. And you can see tonight we've done fairly simple things that produce fabulous results in a remarkably short time, and give you an abundance of good information that you can now go use. And even if you only use a third of these search terms, you've still got 10 or 15 search terms that, when put into the Upwork system or whatever system you're working in, is going to produce many more jobs than you might be finding now. So this is really a key piece to that. So David, I'm going to shift back now to our slide deck. Here we go. Stop the share. There I am. Go back to, oops.
We're back on your slide.
Okay. And so you can use this same kind of strategy to create a course, to figure out what should my course be on, how do I figure out who my audience is, and that kind of thing. I've just finished an article, and David, if you could put that link in there, that talks about taking your skill set, like this airline pilot, would be to just run down one avenue of this, of what kind of course could I create in order to tap into the skills that I have. And so if you've ever thought about creating a course, or you've got a lot of experience and you do things in a unique way, and you've had insights to things throughout your career, and you're that kind of person, a course is one of the best ways to monetize your freelance activities going forward. So, there are pros and cons to this. It's not all a bed of roses. It's rewarding work. It gets you away from dollars per hour. And especially in the course development, you're making money while you sleep. I have one client that we did a course together, and it teaches people a certain aspect of psychology. You may have seen her on some of the podcasts I've done with International Living, and it has been very helpful for her business to help educate clients and help them get more out of the work that she does. And she has clients from all around the world. So pretty much every week that goes by, there's people buying this training program from around the world. So, but it does require some drive and self-starterness, but it's one of the most rewarding things you can do. So these are 5 common ways. There's actually many more ways to do that, but you're just the doing of freelancing can open up this whole world to you, because you now speak the new language of global remote work. Very important to learn the laws and tax regulations of a new country, because some of those are changing now, and I might say changing, and then in others they're changing back. But there are of the 220 countries and around the world, there's at least 190 of them that you can do this kind of work in from anywhere. on the planet. So worth considering and worth spending a little time with your accountant or immigration attorney to figure out how to do what you want to do in wherever you want to live. And you know, think about your skills. Now you can produce an abundance of skills. And for the airline pilot that I worked with, and I did this kind of work with, it just opened up whole new vistas of possibilities. And lots of us over 50 are at a point where we're just kind of saying, well, I don't really know what I do, frankly, because you've been doing it for so long. But when you look at what you've done this way and search through something like an AI related program, you're just going to get a lot more ideas and see a lot more possibilities for what you might do. So David, let's take some questions.
All righty. So this is going back, Vincent, you were talking about expat jobs.
Uh-huh.
And Patty was wanting clarification on something you said in terms of, so the question was, do expat jobs not want people over 60, like the 60, 65 range?
You know, I would say they don't, as a rule, other than there is just bias, you know, age bias built into everything. But I talked to a guy this week who's 75 years old, and he's a consultant, and he travels the world, and he's hired by major companies. So that's why if you're independent, it's easier to get hired than if you are not, you know, than if you're being hired to the company, because some of the things that happen when you become an employee of the company is there are issues around the health plan, and, you know, not everybody gets sick and that kind of stuff. But the idea is that people, as they age, get more expensive for a health plan. So that might be a factor. But if you're independent, that takes a lot of that issue out of the equation. And most freelancers and consultants that I know tend to have their own plan. And once they're 65, they're able to combine their plan with Medicare. You can do that. You can buy not supplemental Medicare plans. I mean, you certainly can buy those, but you can buy travel plans that cover you when you're traveling and out consulting and that kind of thing.
So, Winton, this question is going to fall under the heading of barefoot consultants cannot provide tax advice.
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah.
Having said that, Matthew was saying the way what you described sounded like a really great life, but he was concerned about tax consequences in terms of, you know, having to maybe pay taxes in each of the countries you work in. You know, and you know, if that's something to be concerned about, or if there's a way to figure out the best places to be, you know, to minimize taxable income.
Yes. I mean, as David said, we don't give tax advice and financial advice, but we do see what people do. And it is, you can figure it out. If you try to figure it out for every country, that is kind of a fool's errand. Because there's just so many variations, and all the countries are moving targets, and they're changing their tax rules and that kind of thing. But this is a very well-traveled course, and there are very specific rules, especially if you're a business. You know, it depends upon where's your business located. Well, most people that live in the United States may live abroad, but their business is located in the United States, and they travel abroad. So that business income, it accrues to the business if it's a corporation or an LLC or something like that. And then the individual might be paid a salary of some kind or another. So there are ways to minimize your taxation. This is the big value of working with a CPA or an accounting firm, that especially one that specializes in expat workers, because they understand how to minimize this. And there are tax advantages that you can, take advantage of as you, depending on the country that you want to work in. And I know I was talking to somebody who said, well, I want to move to Spain, and Spain has just changed their tax rules, and they were beside themselves, because, and I said, listen, there's 200 other countries around the world, probably 195 of which don't have the aggressive tax laws that Spain has. So just find another country that you want to live in that has all the other things you want, but you can't have to have something and be fixated on something. It's more moving abroad, particularly, is more an activity of coming up with a list of the things that you want in your life and finding the country that can satisfy most of those the best. And if some country has just instituted an onerous tax plan, then don't go there. It's just as simple as that. And I've traveled around enough over the last 20 years to see that there's lots of places you could live on the planet that are absolutely wonderful, but you have to be willing to be flexible around the name of the country, because some are onerous when it comes to taxation.
So, Winston, would you say this is something where folks, if they're wanting to try to find advice, is this something where they pretty much are going to have to go do a Google search on, looking for CPA expat experts,
Yes.
or best countries to, as a U.S. business, best countries to work in?
Yes, and there's a guy at International Living. I think he's got a company called Global Citizen, and he provides this kind of stuff. In fact, he helps people figure out how to get second passports and all that kind of stuff. But yes, he monitors all that and keeps track of it. And you can sit down with him virtually, usually. And, depending upon how far you want to go, you can say, these are my assets. This is what I earn. This is what my retirement funds are going to be providing me. And he will give you a range of options. So here's the places that you can move, and these are the ones that meet your criteria and that kind of thing. And let's see, I would just go on to the International Living site at internationalliving.com and look up Global Citizen, and you'll see his name. I think his last name is Bauman. He's an expert in this area. He's an expert in this area, not just for International Living, but for Agora Publications in general. And I know writes lots of articles and goes to conferences around the world. And he would be a great resource. And you do want to make sure that the CPA or the accountant or whatever the financial professional is that you're talking to understands expats and global living, because I've had people that go to their accountant and they'll say, oh, you can't do that, and they're just completely oblivious to the rules and regulations of doing this kind of thing. So if you ask an idiot a question, you're going to get an idiotic answer. And so that's the other thing to know, is that you got to get good advice, not just any advice. And appreciate the smiley.
And Winston,
yes,
going back to earlier, you were talking about the International Living Conference, and Audrey was wondering if you could kind of give some general info on what happens at fast track conferences.
Yes. Okay. So fast track conferences are usually oriented to a particular country. And most of the people that are going to Costa Rica are people that have already decided pretty much that Costa Rica is where they want to live. So they're going to go there and they're going to hear from people that live in different parts of Costa Rica There are individuals, human beings like the rest of us that just have made the move, and they made the move maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they're going to say what it's like to make the move, where they live. They'll give you an idea of what the costs are there, what's the different kind of housing. Do they have condos? Do they have apartments? And they give you an idea of rents and purchase prices and all that kind of stuff. So it's really for the person that wants to go to that country, or a lot of people that go to Costa Rica want to compare Costa Rica to Panama because they're right adjacent to each other. And both of them offer similar advantages, but they have their unique differences as well.
And then final, really quick question. Greg was wondering when Dr. J was coming back.
Yes, Dr. J will be back with us next week. So we're
Cool.
looking forward to seeing him.
So that has us all caught up in our questions.
Very good. All righty. Well, let's press on here. And next week's topic, we're going to talk about Freelancer Plus. This is a service on Upwork. As many of you know, Upwork is free to join, so it doesn't cost you anything to get set up in Upwork and be working. Of course, it's a complicated system, and that's why we're in business, because a lot of people say, I could sit here and figure this out, but I'd like to take a little shorter path. But next week, we're going to talk about Freelancer Plus, which has 6 specific perks for new freelancers. I don't recommend using it right away, but there is an appropriate time to subscribe to it. It's a service that costs about $20 a month, and you subscribe to it for a period of time while you're building your business. And then I'll tell you when you don't need to subscribe to it. There comes a time when you've cultivated a group of clients that you're working with on a regular basis that you may not need to be part of that. So we'll talk about what it entails, how it can help you build your business, how to buy it smart so you optimize your funds in terms of investing in your freelance career. And if you need support help between now and then, you can always go to the private Facebook group. You can do chat from our webpage. You can have a 15-minute conversation with a coach free of charge. Just send an email to support@barefootconsultants.com and tell us a little bit in a sentence or two what you'd like to talk about, and also in a sentence or two a little bit about your background, and we'll find the coach that would best be able to give you a good answer on that. So be sure and take advantage of that. And just a quick reminder, June after party next week. And I want to thank everybody that helped me put this together: David, Sharon, Margaret, and Heidi. So have a great week freelancing, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Great comments. Yes, global citizen is Ted Bauman. Very good. And there's Ted's email address right in the chat window. So that's good. And thanks, Patty. Good to see you. Yeah, and Matt says, I hope you're not teaching these pilots how to multitask. Yeah, actually, pilots are pretty good multitaskers, but modern airplanes certainly reduce the amount of multitasking they have to do. Very good. Stephen, I'm not sure I understand that question. What is protecting the public from counterfeits? So if you are online and can fill that in a little bit, happy to talk about that. Hey, Randy, how you doing? Uh, Good to see you. And you're very welcome for the time management. And Randy has a similar interval training that he works with in the gym. So that's great. Excellent. Very good. All righty. Good to see everybody and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.